Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
If you can, survive!
It's showtime, folks! The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, back at it for a very special episode of In The Kliq. And this Saturday, September 5th, AEW presents All Out live on pay-per-view. And I'm so excited to be talking to one of the stars appearing on the show. And even though she is billed from the graveyards of Tijuana, Mexico, the Bay Area was a second home for her. I have on the line the NWA Women's Champion, Thunder Rosa. How's it going?
I'm speaking. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at right now.
I know, man. Thunder Rosa, listen, first off, thank you so much for making the time. I mean, wow, here we are coming up on a couple days before All Out, arguably the biggest match of your career thus far on the biggest stage today. And just please just describe to me just the emotions and everything you've been going through the last couple weeks. I mean, it's been such a big week. I'm so happy for you. I've been seeing you did an interview with Sports Illustrated. You're on Busted Open Radio. You've been doing a ton of interviews. So just please describe how's everything been going the last couple weeks.
It is about time that people know who Thunder Rosa is, baby. That's how I feel. I really felt the spotlight was there. It was like always kind of like, you know, when you're swimming and you can't see doing very well, you always feel like you're going to burn. That's how I felt. It feels really good. But again, I'm so critical about my work that I'm not satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I need more, baby. I need more.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to hear that. I mean, it's all the hard work you have been doing thus far up to this point. It's paying off for you. So, I mean, I know here in the Bay Area, you have a huge following here, and I know everyone's super excited. Even last night, you were on Dynamite. And like I saw online, just a lot of the fellow wrestlers out here in the Bay Area were commenting, just saying how happy they were. So, I mean, let's just start off. Well, first off, let's just remind everyone, AEW All Out is this Saturday, live on pay-per-view. You can get it on BR Live or Fight TV. And so, I mean, just if you can, just please describe, how did you, as the NWA Women's Champion, get involved with AEW in the first place?
The Tony and Billy Corgan made it happen. They talked. It was contacted by AEW, and I was like, I can't really make those decisions. Talk, and they come on an agreement, and now I'm here.
That's great. No, I love that. And I geeked out super hard just last month when you made your appearance on Dynamite, and I was like, oh my God, she's there. That's so cool. So, and then, you know, looking at last night, you wrestled Serena Deeb on AEW Dynamite on TNT, a network that has a long history with wrestling. And of course, this goes back to their ties with WCW, who do have roots with the NWA. So how was that experience wrestling on a very popular cable network and, of course, representing the NWA?
We made a statement yesterday. I made a statement yesterday. I put every single woman in the women's division, you know, whatchamacallit. I had the word. I was like, already. I'm like cutting the promo right now, baby. I put them on notice. This is what women's wrestling should look like on TV. Period. Now I'm going to say it again. This is what women's wrestling should look on TV.
Mm-hmm.
We've been fighting, and I'm talking in the indies, for so many years. So many years. Because we want the respect. We want the time. We want the space. And still, in 2020, we still not get the space, the time, or the respect that we deserve in a card like this. When I got on that ring, from the moment I got out of the tunnel, I show them why I am the champion of the NWA and why I carry that with so much pride and passion.
Yeah.
So for those who didn't get it, or they say, oh, you know what? I don't think I'm not impressed. Maybe you should go on Google and you should Google me.
Mm-hmm.
And not only see me for what I do in professional wrestling, but what I do outside of professional wrestling to represent wrestling as a professional athlete. There you go.
Yeah. No, even, I mean, I know like a lot of people were commenting last night just how impressed they were to see you on Dynamite and your performance. Even JR was a little caught off guard. He kind of stumbled through it a little bit.
It was really funny.
Yeah, no, it was very funny to hear him talk, and he was like just impressed by just the work that the two of you were doing in there. So it's just very cool. And so like, listen, here we are. It's been a few years, like quote, like this women's revolution in pro wrestling. And for you, how awesome is it that you're leading this charge for showing people that women's wrestling is just as competitive as the guys are? And for you, you must be also really happy just because you become like even, I think, very influential and like a role model for the next generation of female wrestlers.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I come from a background of mobilizing, activists, all this kind of stuff. You know, all the things, all the political things that in professional wrestling is not very welcome, especially coming from a woman of color. The fact that I'm waving the flag in an era where women are actually taking a little bit more serious, and we're not doing, bikini bras and bikini matches. And if we do them because we want to, not because we're forced to.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and a responsibility, because, this is a business where you are here for yourself. You're here to put yourself over. Indeed, I 100% agree with that. But I'm also here to show other women and other generations that you can get where you want to get by working hard, by, not sacrificing your ethics, your beliefs, and you can still be successful. No matter if you're in a big or a small company, things will happen for you at the right time. And just, being part of this movement, and where a lot of my contemporaries are women of color, that we're becoming a little more outspoken. We're asking for respect and for a space in TV. And even in indies, more spaces for women and like regular cards. I'm doing it on my own. I'm a person that I like to put my word with my money where my word was. My money where my word. I don't remember.
Money where your mouth is.
Exactly that one. Sorry, I'm like thinking. I always say that when I mess up. So that's why we revamped Pro Wrestling, and this is another one that we have an all female card. And our booker is not my husband. It's Robin Reed, which was a woman. Our designers are women. Our camera women are women. I'm trying my hardest to have every spot filled by women. There's a couple of things that I can't do right now, but it's okay. With guys too. But we want to make sure that we're in space and we are setting a precedent for other people to do the same thing, because this is what we need. It's been a long time, almost a century, and where men have taken over women's wrestling and have run women's wrestling and have booked women's wrestling. And there's never been a strong voice for women to work with other women and to empower other women. And that, for me, is more important than all the money, all the fame. Money and the fame helps me open up doors for other girls. That's important to me in a business like this.
Absolutely. No, and that's really great to hear you say that. I think as far as change in the business for the better for both men and women, to hear you say that's really, I respect that. And that's really cool to hear you say that. Also, I really want to get to know is, as far as, okay, for the matchup this Saturday, you're going to be taking on the AEW Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida, and she's been red hot. She's been on an amazing winning streak throughout most of this year. Have you ever wrestled her before, and what can fans expect from this matchup?
This Saturday, I'm going all out. That's what you're gonna expect. You can expect nothing less from me. You saw it yesterday. I don't hold back. I don't think she's been with somebody like me in the ring. Honestly, she's never been with somebody like me. I have the fire. I have nothing to prove. Honestly, I have everything to win. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what happens, she does have everything to lose. She's champion. So me coming in on Saturday, there's gonna be a lot of bruises. I'm gonna tell you that she's gonna get a lot of bruises, because I don't believe in like the wrestling. Like, I believe in like they need to feel your presence in the ring, because that ring is mine. Period. I come in there and I own that. I come in and people are chanting my name at her house, which happened yesterday. So with that said,
that's great. No, I'm super excited. I mean, that's honestly for the last month, a lot of people were questioning what her matchup was going to be for All Out, and there was like no big storylines being built. So the fact when you were revealed to challenge her, I mean, for me personally, I geeked out super hard. I'm a huge fan of NWA Power and just NWA in general. So, I mean, I was so happy to see that. So, like, now this matchup has turned to like must see. This is like one of the more anticipated matches that I'm looking forward to on this card. So I just want to give you props to you and just for everyone involved. I mean, I cannot wait to see this. But before we, kind of talk more about the NWA, so I would love just to kind of learn more about just your history and your background coming up in the wrestling business. And so we were talking a little bit off the air. And so you did live here in the Bay Area for 10 years. And so I was just curious, where did you go to wrestling school here in the Bay Area?
Oh, man, it's a long story. Well, at first, I was going to go to APW. Then Roland Alexander died. I lost all the money that I was in school. I went to Stunner U for like a month. You're just like testing things. And like it wasn't like a great fit. So I decided to go with APW Gold Mine Boot Camp in Pacifica, California.
Yep.
So I trained almost 2 years. And then after that, I just literally went everywhere. Like, because I'm a big believer that in order for you to grow as a person, as an athlete, you have to learn from other people. You have to go to camps. You have to go out of your comfort zone. To learn new skills, to learn new things. So I went to Mexico. I went to Japan. I went to Europe. Japan definitely was one of the things that it was very formative I met in the beginning, and that's what a lot of like the strong style of wrestling. That's what I felt very comfortable with. Io Saray was my trainer. In 2 tours, she was my trainer. And a lot of the things now, like I feel comfortable because she pushes us to the next level. To all of us that were in the ring and like, I don't do ropes. So it's like, yo, it's training. Just try it. And if you fall, you fall. Like whatever. Nobody cares. It's not like you're gonna do it in the ring. And that really helped me to get out of the comfort zone. Then coming back from my first tour, I got signed in Lucha Underground like 3-4 months after that. So I was put under fire like right away because I was not acquainted with Lucha Libre.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to LA. Man, I used to like drive to LA or take the mega bus to train in Satino Bros sometimes with those luchas. So I'll be doing that sleeping on people's floors or sleeping in my car and stuff. Then I'll come back home and like do some training in San Jose. I was training everywhere because I want to get better and I wanted opportunity. I wanted to, if when they call me again, but do Lucha Underground for season 3 and season 4, I wanted to showcase my skills that I wasn't able to show it in the first season because I was so green. I was so inexperienced. Mm-hmm. But again, it was like my drive that kept me going. And family, my husband was always like, just go and do it. Like he was super supportive. He'll stay alone. It's a lot of sacrifice. So there was a lot of sacrifice in our family. He sacrificed his money for university for me to go to wrestling school, because I didn't have no need to become a wrestler. That wasn't my dream. My dream was always to be a teacher and like to be an example for kids because I used to work with kids in the Bay Area and I work in a rehab facility. Then I work in the community with younger adults that have mental health issues. So that was my passion. My passion has always been make a difference in people's lives, and in wrestling just like changed my entire life. Everything, like with health, with my fitness, with my mentality, with my drive. And I was like, whoa, this is a bigger platform. When we make it, I never said if I make it. I always said when I make it, the platform is going to be so much bigger that I will be able to like reach to more women, to more kids, to people that feel like that identify with me so they can see that they can make a change in their life. Because like I said, I was doing it on a smaller scale, working as a social worker, as a rehab counselor, and all my clients were really close to me. They really enjoyed working with me because I really care for people. I'm a very caring person. That's just my nature. But, that experience alone, working there, has helped me to network and like link up with people in a totally different level that I feel like a lot of people that I look up to when I was like watching wrestling when I was older, I didn't feel that I was like connecting with, with X, Y, and Z. But when you find like a person that is like real, like oh man, like I really like this person, and that's what I'll continue to show. And like, no matter where I've been, I'm always like if there's fans that have been following me since even before I started wrestling, I know their names. I have probably hung out with them in shows. I send them like Christmas cards, like because they have some part of the Thunder Rosa cult, the Thunder Rosa family.
Yeah.
Because like I haven't done this alone. This is a group of people that continue to support me. I mean, look at the numbers in Twitter and look at the comments in Twitter. 90% of the comments when my announcement was made was positive. And usually when you see something else, it's like, oh, this BITCH. Like, who do you think she is? She's not even that good. None of that. Everybody's like, oh, my God. Thunder Rosa has worked so hard to get here. We're so excited for her. You got to look at that. It's because like I said, it's been a team effort.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And like I said, I'm so happy to see all the success that you've earned yourself in recent times. So I was just real curious, though. So when you were training up here in the Bay Area, who was your trainer or teachers up here? Is there anyone specific you want to give a shout out to that was a big help for you?
My homies, I love them. I love them so much is Matt Carlos and Dylan Drake.
Yeah.
And then Sparky Ballard was the owner of the school.
Okay, awesome, Sparky, the best referee here in the Bay Area. That's awesome. And that's it's very cool to hear you say Matt Carlos and Dylan Drake as well, both legends out here in the Bay Area. Shout out to Matt Carlos. He helped me get some AEW figures recently, put me the right direction to buy them, where to go get them at. So I'm just curious, wrestling here in the Bay Area, is there any particular favorite highlights or matches from your time up here?
Recently, I wrestled Swole, like last year. That was one of the highlights. I had so much fun.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I saw you at West Coast Pro Wrestling last year. That's where I met you in person. And so that was very cool to put a face to the name. And, it was so exciting to see you wrestle in person. And that was such a fun match that night. But listen, I really want to talk just about the Bay Area wrestling scene as far as in recent years. So in the last few years, I really got back into going out there, attending and watching and supporting independent wrestling. Here in the Bay Area, we've had so many great promotions from All Pro Wrestling, West Coast Pro Wrestling, Hood Slam. I mean, the list goes on of the number of great promotions here in the Bay Area. So, and I feel like the Bay Area in Northern California doesn't get enough credit as like a hotbed for independent wrestling and just how much talented people come out from here. So, I mean, for anyone that's listening and doesn't know, can you kind of explain what makes the Bay Area such a special place and why so many talented people come from here?
Because we're stiff as F. That's how they train us. Like, the mentality there is like, you gotta make it real. You gotta feel it. You gotta, it's like, we're always trying to outdo each other, But again, for me, I have to get out of the Bay Area to make to like spread my wings. I did everything I needed to do in there, and that I could accomplish. It was time for me to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm always really, really big on, once you accomplish so much, you have to, like, grow and move other places. Again, like, once I started, recognition and, like, just working there was not enough for me. Like I said, I'm very ambitious. My husband is, like, 100% with me all the time. He is, the biggest supporter. He was like, we got to move. You got to move in order to, like, make it bigger and be able to get more bookings, because being in the area sometimes is a little challenging because it's like really expensive and people didn't really want to pay. And I was getting tired of leaving for like months at a time to go to other places so I can get bookings.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, I mean, in the last few years, I thought like 2017, 2018, the independent wrestling scene here in the Bay Area was just on fire. So many talented people were either coming here for shows or just locally here, the talent that were living out here. And then I really thought by like 2019, a lot of them got signed and moved on with their careers. And I really felt like at the end of 2019 and before the pandemic, we were seeing a lot of fresh new faces it was part of this whole transitional period from like people moving on and the new set of talent coming in, working these shows. So what advice do you have for some of the younger people listening right now who live out here in the Bay Area, who perform, before the pandemic in All Pro Wrestling, West Coast Pro? What advice do you have to them in order to get to that next level for their career?
You can't honestly, like, you can't play politics. If you want to make something happen, you got to make it happen. Because if you wait for the promoter to, like, oh, man, that's the opportunity for you, man, you're going to be forever, for real. Like, a championship belt doesn't make you yourself,
Yeah.
That makes you. That's my biggest thing. And I'm going to keep it real, man. You need to stop making excuses, and you need to make things happen. Mm-hmm. You cannot be that person that's been wrestling in the same place for 15 years, and you come and try to tell a new person that is getting out, that is making sacrifices, that they're doing it wrong. 2020, and things like with the things can go on one day, they're gone. You got nothing. So in the time that you have, you got to make the best out of it. And that's always been my mentality. And I keep telling the girls and the guys that I know, invest in yourself, get out there, and set really high goals for yourself. Always. If not, don't do this. This is a business that takes everything out of you if you let it. But it's also a business that will give you everything you ever dream of. And that's a perfect example of that.
That's awesome. I feel like you're an inspirational speaker right now. Like I'm ready to run through a wall for you. That's so great to hear. No, so I'm actually curious. So listen, let's talk about the NWA. I mean, wow, what a year the NWA has had between NWA Power debuting last year. And I mean, well, first things first. So how did you get involved with the NWA? Like, how did you come on board with them?
David Lagana, who was no longer working with us, he was the person that reached out to me when we were working ROH. And he told me, we have something for you. Just be patient. I don't believe in like that. Every time, a promoter be like, hey, girl, I got you. Just be patient. I got temperature for you. And you're like, yeah, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have nothing. I just got released from Lucha Underground. Nobody was knocking on my door. Like, I was toying with the idea that I was going to do everything, but I was like, I don't know yet. So at that point, I was just, like, ready to hang the boots, and I called one of my friends. I was like, hey, bro, is there anything, like, happening in WWE? He was like, oh, yeah, they need reps. I was like, just tell them to, like, if they're interested. I speak 3 languages. Whatever, I'll do it. Then WWE called me. They offered me the rep position. They told me how much they paid. They paid for my ticket to Orlando. I was ready to go to Orlando. A hurricane happened. My stuff got pushed, and then Combate Americas was calling me, and we were like, we need you to sign the contract because we went to the fight. And I was like, oh, man, I was already training for this fight. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to waste the time that I already had. I think I'm going to tell WWE that I'm not going to do it. Because the ones that after I started thinking about it, and then I'm like, I don't think I want to be a ref, honestly. Mm-hmm. And then that same day that I told WWE that thanks for the opportunity, but I'm going to have to pass. And WWE called me. They're like, you want to be part of Power? And I was like, duh. Sure. And I remember I was talking to my husband, and I was like, his name is Brian, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, hey, man, and like, NWA called me. And he's just like said, just for, kicks. He's like, oh, my God, I bet, because we wrote this as a goal, you're going to be the next NWA champ real soon. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I was like, whatever. If I am, I am. If I don't, and there you go.
Wow, that's so cool to hear. It's just amazing how fate can happen like that and the different directions your life can go. Like, imagine, if you would have signed or, went with WWE, how different your life would be a year from now. That's so crazy to hear that. No, thank you for sharing that. So let's just talk about NWA Power. When the show premiered last year, I have never seen a wrestling show that went viral and was universally praised like NWA Power was. And for me, I love the throwback to the studio wrestling, the fans in attendance, all the wrestlers cutting these amazing promos, and of course the actual wrestling itself in the ring. So why do you think NWA Power took off like it did last year?
Because everyone loves old school. Everyone likes to feel like a lot of our viewers are between the ages of 35 and 55. Mm-hmm. And these are the viewers that used to watch NWA on TV on Saturday morning. So they really love the old school feel. They really love the fact that, of course, there's games, but you don't come out with music. It's you and you only. Mm-hmm. And what you present in the ring. And the stories are easy to understand. The matches were like 20 minutes long. They were long enough for you to tell a story and long enough for you to connect with the fans. Mm-hmm. Really do truly enjoy, because it was literally, you have to be in that mind before you got out of the curtain, because you have no pyro, there is no music, there is no elaborate stuff in the background. It's just you, the ring. So you better figure it out, So, yeah. That's why I'm telling you, I worked in some, because this is going to sound horrible, but I don't really watch the whole entire show. This one, NWA, I watched almost every single episode when I was home with my family.
Yeah.
even my son will be like, man, you're watching this episode again, and be like, because it's easy to digest. It's easy to digest, man. It's not like a complicated mathematical, algebra equation for you to understand wrestling and the bad guy. And that's what made the NWA so sweet and so popular from one day to another. And then the promos were fun. Like, people like when you're like finish your matches and they're like all sweaty and you can't even talk.
Yeah.
And they mark, so how do you feel about this match? And you're like, brother, I can't believe this now. I feel about this match. But it was so cool because it's challenging, Man, I am so happy and so thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah.
And the trust that they had for me and the storyline and how they presented me on the show, it was really cool, man. And it allowed me to show, like, that part of me that I always wanted to show, that I always been, that Thunder Rosa has always been a little firecracker, a little badass that is, like, want to come and, like, smash things. I'm 5'3".
Yeah.
And I always get so mad when I wrestle, like, big people because they're like, oh, yeah, I don't do this. Boy, please. And it was just so cool, man. They let me be me, and that's it.
Yeah. No, listen, I mean, I love everything you just said about that. I mean, it's true. I've been telling people, I think part of the charm is that what's old is new now, as far as I think for a lot of younger people. Like, I'm in my mid-30s, so I grew up kind of seeing the whole change in wrestling from the 80s, 90s, 2000s to now. But I can only imagine there's a lot of people, under the age of 30 or under the age of 25 who just grew up to seeing what wrestling was in the last, 20 years. And that's very one-sided as far as what's been presented to them. So for me to see what NWA Power's been bringing to the table and bringing every week on Tuesday nights on YouTube, it's been refreshing. And I tell people, that's like the old charm of what we saw in the 80s, with Ric Flair and everyone else on the NWA roster back in the day. So I love it. And I can't thank Billy Corgan enough for doing this and just, I think, reigniting that passion for a lot of wrestling fans. And so I just got to ask, what's Billy Corgan like? So for me, I just want to tell you real quick, my one experience. I met Billy Corgan once. So years ago, he performed here at the radio station, actually for our sister station, in the conference room, which was trippy because I went in there and it was like him performing in front of me, like in my living room. That's how awesome it was. And then when he was done, we went in the hallway, and instead of just asking him just some generic music questions that he's probably answered 1,000 times over, I knew he was a huge wrestling fan. So I started asking wrestling questions, and oh my God, his eyes lit up. And we had this amazing conversation in the hallway. And so it was such an amazing experience that this guy that I grew up loving as a kid, the rock star that he is known for, but just to talk wrestling for him, it was truly amazing. So when I heard that he bought the NWA, I was so happy and excited for him, what he can contribute to the wrestling business. So from your perspective, what's it like to be working for Billy Corgan? And just, is there any specific maybe advice or guidance that he's given you in this time so far?
He's just, he's a very kind person. Like, he really cares for us. He has a vision that a lot of us believe, and I'm very thankful that he has abilities as a wrestler, as a rising star that I am becoming now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very different person. A lot of people, when it's like, there's a lot of people that are very polarizing. They either like you or they don't. But they don't get to see all the stuff that some of us get to see from Billy.
Mm-hmm.
I like Billy. He's always been nice to me, and he's always been very caring, and he's very happy that that this opportunity was given to me.
Absolutely. And I do respect the fact that a few months ago, he did say NWA Power will be on hiatus because of the pandemic and health concerns. And obviously the fans do play a huge part of the show. And so if you can't have fans in attendance for the tapings, it doesn't make sense to have the show for right now. So I respect that decision and what he's been doing, but I also love that he's been giving people on the roster opportunities to go perform elsewhere in the meantime, like yourself right now that we're going to see this Saturday at All Out. So what's next for the NWA? I know Power itself is still on hold, but I saw that the NWA and the United Wrestling Network, they announced a new TV show, Primetime Live, which is going to be debuting September 15th on pay-per-view, a weekly show that's going to be on Fight TV. I know Nick Aldis is going to be on the first show You've also been announced for one of the episodes as well. So if you're able to, can you give us any insight, but what can we expect with Primetime Live and NWA's involvement with it?
Pro wrestling, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see very similar style as NWA. Just, we're having, thankfully now we're giving a space for us to defend our championship, which is really great. Honestly, I don't know much about, even if I did, I would tell you. Storylines and stuff like that. It's for real. I'm not gonna tell you. Yeah. So I mean, so far I'm excited. I get to go to LA once a month or twice a month, you know, and I'm ready. I'm just ready to perform and keep working on my craft.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like it's gonna be kind of similar, hopefully set up that we kind of maybe seen with NWA Power as far as members of the roster performing and other members from the United Wrestling Network and I'm guessing Championship Hollywood as well, all the different promotions that they're associated with. So I'm looking forward to that. So, I mean, it's definitely September is going to be a busy month for you between All Out and Primetime Live, all that stuff. So looking forward to that. For AEW and NWA working together, is this something maybe fans can expect kind of like a long-term deal or more opportunities for other talent to work together more?
It all depends on the bosses, honestly. Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be great. We're going to get... It all depends on Tony Khan and Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
They're the power players here. I'm here to just show why the NWA Women's Division is good. That's all.
Awesome. No, looking forward to that. And just one last thing I want to ask you. So listen, we all know about your history on Lucha Underground. That show was very legendary and groundbreaking in many ways, had a huge following in its own right. And, Lucha Underground is no longer here, but we've seen so many people from the show move on to great things and working in various promotions now. And a lot of them are doing awesome work in the ring. And I think it's so cool that a show like that had developed and created so many talented people. So just looking back on it now, 5-10 years from now, what do you want the legacy of Lucha Underground to be remembered as?
I will say Lucha Underground was definitely an eye-opening for what professional wrestling, you marry professional wrestling with a movie theater feel, Hollywood feel.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. I want people to remember that. I was like, remember the crazy stories, and the vignettes and how they were connected to the message. Yeah, man, that was so much fun. Lucha Underground was one of the most fun places to work. And because it really made lucha libre, American style, in movies
mm-hmm.
into one thing, and it was so much different than anything you ever seen in your life, and you probably will ever see.
Yeah, totally. So listen, Thunder Rosa, I know you got a busy day ahead of you still. You're doing a bunch of press still. I just want to thank you for your time. And also just thank you again when we met last year at the West Coast Pro Wrestling Show, just how nice you were and just gave me the time of day to chat. And I'm really glad we got to do this interview today.
Thank you.
I just want to remind all the listeners out there, go get AEW All Out live on pay-per-view this Saturday on BR Live or Fight TV. I cannot wait to see the NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa taking on the AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida. Check out Thunder Rosa's website, thunderrosa.net. Follow her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, also on YouTube. You got a lot of videos up there as well. And it's so cool that you're representing the Bay Area also this weekend. Like I said, just the amount of followers I see online, everyone from the fellow Bay Area wrestling scene just cheering you on and just praising you. So good luck to you this weekend. And we'd love to talk to you again in the future sometime. This was a lot of fun.
Anytime, man. And also don't forget, we're having a show, and it will be streamed at Title Match Network called Mission Pro Wrestling.
Yep.
That's an all women's show, and it will be September 18th. You can see all the information on my social.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and put all the links on our website as well, 1077thebone.com. Thunder Rosa, thank you so much, and we'll do this again very soon, okay?
Thank you.
Awesome. Talk to you later, okay?
Bye.
Bye-bye. There you have it. Thank you again to Thunder Rosa for joining me today on In The Kliq. I'm so happy for her. All the hard work she has been putting in is paying off. And as I said earlier, this is the biggest match and the biggest stage of her career. I cannot wait to see her wrestle against Hikaru Shida at AEW All Out. All right, Kliqsters, let's go home now. Remember to subscribe to In The Kliq on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. help the show out by rating, reviewing, leave a comment, and sharing the podcast, and subscribe to In The Kliq's YouTube page. All of our show highlights can be found there. Also, please follow In The Kliq on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for @InTheKliq. And thank you for tuning in. And once again, thank you for all the support. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.